Hey guys, just started a new job that uses Java, and I come from a place that mainly uses Kotlin, so I just thought I'd note, I guess, some of the things I'm kind of missing about Kotlin, and then, yeah, hopefully this can convince some people in the future if they're deciding between the two that maybe Kotlin is the option, or maybe it's not if you don't care about any of these. I just got these three things here, and by the way, I'm a Java noob, so if there's better ways to do any of these, just feel free to let me know. So I got these three things in the video that this is just in 1 week so far, what I've noticed that I'm kind of missing. One's this streams API, next to the Elvis operator, and lastly got the default params. I guess streams API is confusing. I'm listing it here as I'm saying that Kotlin does streams better and functional programming better in general. What I mean by this is, I guess Java was started without the streams API, so there's always going to be multiple ways of doing things, like the what's called iterative way with the for loops and stuff as well. But now a lot of people have started to learn to love the functional way of programming. So yeah, there's always going to be this divide on how things can be done. Let's just look at this basic example. One thing I miss is the default parameter naming inside of Kotlin streams. So for example, here we get this list one and we turn it into a stream. It's kind of annoying we have to do that at all. Then we have this map function and it adds 2 to each number. Whereas if we look at this in Kotlin, you can see they initializing the list obviously much simpler to begin with. And then secondly, you can see here in Kotlin, these lambda functions are defined inside of curly brackets, which makes it a lot more clear where the functions are being defined, in my opinion. And then beyond that, I love that Kotlin gives you this default value. So here in the Java example, we have to specify num, and if we don't, we try this, it'll throw an error saying what's it. There's this it by default. But if you want, you can also override this with your own value. Even though it's small, it's just features like this that really improve the quality of life when using Kotlin. Then there's stuff like string interpolation and the fact that in Kotlin, these all return a list by default, so you don't need to convert it to a list here or use some like collections.collect. I mean, it's kind of surprising that, I don't know, at least to me, that Java doesn't provide a sensible default. Maybe there's a reason for this that I don't know about. I'm sure there is, but yeah, it's just not as ergonomic. The next feature I'm going to complain about is like this Elvis operator, which I'm missing. So an example function here, we take in this record and then we have to get a name to print out. Right now I'm not using it, but say we were. If we had some logic that's like, oh, we'll get the name, and if that's null, we'll use the nickname instead. We can use a ternary here. I mean, it's kind of janky, but it's fine. But then say we want to extend this, we look inside of this record object and we say, right, I want to get the name. If not, we want to get the nickname. If not, we want to get the business name. If not, we want to get the surname or something like this. I'll just put it in this order. To do this in Java, we probably need some like if-else function statement that's like looks super nasty. Whereas in Kotlin, let's take a look here. We can just use this Elvis operator, which means like if this is null, then do this instead. Get this value instead. And here we can just assign, get the record's name. If that's null, get the nickname and get the business name, so on and so forth, without the need for ternary. Actually, Kotlin doesn't actually have ternaries, for better or for worse. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I find I don't actually need them as well, because Kotlin has this other cool feature. So you can see you can assign values inside of the if-else statement. So oftentimes you don't really need ternaries. And here you can see this code's actually unreachable, and that's because, Kotlin also has null safety, so we actually can determine whether a variable, it's possible for it to be null at all, which is checked at compile time. So, it can be broken at runtime, but yeah, during compile time, like if has the chance to be null or not, you can specify that, and you can deal with the null logic much more appropriately. And here's the thing that actually made me go a little bit crazy, which I'm strongly missing from Kotlin now. So, and that is the default parameters, name parameters, and with that, the copy operator. So, say, alright, we have this unit test, and our business requirement is we need to add this new field. So, let's add this new field here. By the way, the fact that you're not allowed to trailing columns is also upsetting, because trailing columns are superior. I'm going to say it. So, we have this new field here. Cool, we go back. And yeah, I want to test this new field, so I'm maybe able to make a record. So, I got these two help functions, create dummy record and create dummy record that takes in a string and puts in the name. First we got to update these. That's fine, but kind of annoying, but whatever. Cool, let me just create a new object. Cool, we got this new dummy record, and let's just assign this tests.newField equals test. Oh wait, you can't do something like that because it's a record, it's immutable, so we can't change it. So what can we do? And I was looking on Gemini and Claude, and it pretty much said like you can use the builder pattern, which I don't like firstly, but even if I did, it's not relevant to the situation. Like a new helper function that makes this, but it's just all so inconvenient and janky. I don't want to have to make a new one of these that, and then here when I create it, I have to use this. It's too much of a hassle, and you're really relying on the IntelliJ hints to just even know what field you're populating. Kotlin is so much easier. So, I mean, firstly, rely on the trailing comma, big win. But secondly, say we add this new field. Now, let's make a helper function like before. Say that, I mean, this field didn't exist at all, and oh no, we need to pass in this field. Here, we have the option to make a default value. So we can say equals test like this. And this is actually very useful, especially if it's a nullable object and you add a new field to a data class. Then when you say you have records already in the database, when you pull in those records from the database, you can just populate it with this new field by default. Say we want to do the example before where on this test object, we want to set this new field to test. Even if we didn't have this value and we only had the some sort of previously existing helper function like this, we could just very easily do like test.copy, and this is super useful. Here we got the name parameters as well. You can see this copy function, it creates a copy of the test, but then you can update some values. So we can say like new field equals test. Even though they're immutable, you just make a copy of it and set your new fields. You don't have to bother making all these new helper functions and everywhere. Overall, it just saves so much boilerplate, and it's so nice. This copy function is like amazing, and the named parameters, default parameters, is just so useful. I wonder if that ever comes to Java. Probably not.